Welcome to Streaming History. I'm Carrie, and this is my partner in crime, Drew. And today's subject is Queen Elizabeth I and economics. So today's question is, what are usury laws, and why or how did they affect the economics of Queen Elizabeth I's time?
Well, to begin at the beginning, Elizabeth came into her reign with a very weak economy. The primary economic driver for England at the time was the exporting of wool. Well, that doesn't make for a very large economy, and it also doesn't make very well for a tax base. The country was heavily in debt from previous reigns, previous endeavors, including war. And unfortunately, Elizabeth was a very frugal spender. She understood her situation and that it needed to be fixed, and so it became a very high priority for her. Her advisors recommended that they start paying down this debt, as she would have easily taken that advice. And one of the problems they had was outdated legislation. That the legislation at the time had things such as usury laws. And a lot of people, being based in the US, were sort of US-centric here at Streaming History. And most people in the US don't even remember what a usury law was. They really went out of date in the late 70s, early 80s. And what a usury law is basically a federal mandate on what, it could be state level too, a legal mandate on what the cap is for interest rates. And so if a bank has to pay 10, 12, 13% to borrow money, say from another bank, but they can only lend that money at 6 or 8%, it doesn't take an Einstein to figure out they're going to be losing money. And therefore the economy basically stops at that point because the banks stop lending money. And if companies can't borrow money, and if people can't borrow money to buy houses and things like that, then the economy slows down tremendously. So usury laws are typically thought of, especially in modern times, but even dating back to 1570, they even figured it out. And it's sort of, I don't know why we still had usury laws in the US after learning from Elizabeth, which we should have done a long time ago. But we've learned now that usury laws typically create stagnation in an economy. They slow things down, and that's not what we want. We want to speed things up typically. And it can be too fast, but that's what a usury law is. And that's why we typically vote against them.
All right, so those are usury laws.